Final Fantasy VII is a really special game to a lot of people. It's the kind of game you can instantly bond with somebody over when you find out that they've played it as well. For many people, this was the first mature story that they maybe have ever experienced in any capacity. It's a lot darker than any Disney movie that you saw as a kid. It's a lot deeper than any Saturday morning cartoon that gets wrapped up in 22 minutes. There's love, loss, magic, tragedy, aliens. And while a younger version of myself was dreaming of this Final Fantasy remake while I was playing inferior products,
I'm so sorry.
I all but gave up on the possibility. That is, until
the promise has been made.
Now, when I first saw this, I tried to temper my expectations. I knew there was no way that it was gonna live up to the experience that I had as a kid. Plus, I heard they changed the storyline. You can't do that. Change the combat system? You really can't do that. And it's not even a full remake, it's just like the first disc. This remake had all the makings of a huge letdown. Plus, I didn't own a PlayStation. I knew that it was all too good to be true. The game came out and I didn't play it. That is until it went on sale. So here we are. I started Final Fantasy VII Remake this weekend, fully expecting not to like it. And I'm here to tell you, I was blown away. When it comes to video games, I really try to live by the quote, expectations are the thieves of joy. I've gone to enough midnight releases to know better to get my expectations up for a game. So I really try not to have any. And then when the game's actually good, it's a welcome surprise. And that's what Final Fantasy VII Remake has been. If you haven't played this game, I'll just tell you right now, if you liked Final Fantasy VII, at least the first 5 hours of this game is gonna be great. It's gonna be good. But let me tell you about it, because there are some things that are a little bit different. So far, I've been really enjoying these things though. So I was expecting the original Avalanche members, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, to be shallow, contrived characters. They weren't really that big of a deal in the first game, so I was like, okay, what are you gonna do here to make these characters actually mean something to me? Or are you just expecting me to just immediately care about these characters because I recognize their names? And oh boy, was I wrong. I don't even want to get the original FF7 gang back together. I just want to play a game going around with these three. I can't believe how well they sold me on these characters, truly. Giving them very believable backstories, making them extremely likable, and in such a little time. There's a mission that you do with these three characters early in the game that explains a bit of the personal reasons these characters are in Avalanche, while giving us more of a look at some of the lives of the people in Midgar that we never really get to see in the original. All of it felt natural and believable, and I quickly felt like Cloud was being accepted as one of their own crew. And so far, I feel like the game has captured the essence of the main cast as well, even down to some of the cheesy dialogue. Honestly, I was a little bit worried about how this dialogue was going to translate into speech in this game. Reading something in your head and then hearing and seeing it acted out, they're two very different things. And some of the original dialogue was maybe better left up here than said out loud. But the game already showed me some one-to-one cutscenes from the original game, and they worked beautifully while adding in a ton of extra stuff that totally fits these characters and fleshes them out in a way that I feel like I know them better just from playing this game than I did from playing the first one. Cloud is the typical self-centered mercenary, keeping everybody at arm's distance. I'm telling you this as if you don't know, but the thing is, if you haven't played the remake, you may intellectually know that, oh yeah, he's the mercenary, he's out for himself, blah, blah, blah. But seeing it acted out and animated, and seeing his personality and his facial expressions and his tonal expressions really sells this in a way that is just, I don't know, it's more immersive. It's one of these examples where people say that graphics don't matter, but I would say it's an example of where it very much does matter. It really enhances the game. It enhances the immersion. You can just so much more immediately understand the tension between people's relationships. And then there's these small moments where Cloud lets down his guard and tries to let people in a little bit. You can just hear it in his voice when he's maybe speaking from the heart and his facade's not up anymore. It's something you just can't do with just dialogue boxes. Do you know what I mean? Let me show you what I mean.
If you want anything else, we can always get it.
There is one thing. My money. You guys owe me 2,000, remember?
I feel trapped.
If it feels wrong, don't do it.
We won't be needing you for this next job. Feel free to look for work elsewhere.
Fine by me. That's how I like it. No contract, no obligation.
Figured you'd say that.
I feel like playing the remake is similar to maybe reading a book that you read when you were a kid, and now that you're older, you have more experience, you're just getting different things out of it. I don't know if it's these performances or it's just the fact that I'm older. I'm understanding Cloud as such a more complex, fleshed out character than in the original game. I would say that some of that maybe has to do with the fact that my reading comprehension isn't exactly through the roof, but hey, I bet I'm not the only one, right? So for people that maybe need to see things more visually acted out to understand them better, I mean, it's just a huge difference. And I think what's most important is that I feel like the game is still capturing the essence of these characters. And I think that's a sign of a well-written character, and also a sign of just well-delivered voice acting and animation, of course. With all that being said, there are the new things they added in the game. And I don't just mean the combat. We'll get to that in a second. I mean these ghost things. The hell are these things? I assume there may be souls that are trying to re-enter the live stream but are not able to because of the Mako reactors in Midgar. That's probably exactly what they are, actually, but I don't know that yet. I just started the game. Oh, and I don't know who that guy is. I'm sure all will be revealed in time. Quick side note, I know I could just look all that up on the wiki, so then I can just tell you, this is this guy, he's from this game, he's from this, but that's not what this channel is. I don't think I'm educating you guys. I'm sure you guys know more about the game than I do. But what I like to do on this channel is just give you my thoughts, and it's okay if I'm wrong. It's okay if I don't know everything. I just want to share with you my excitement and my initial thoughts of playing through video games. So that's that. Let's get back to Final Fantasy VII. So the only thing that I'm really worried about at this point that I feel like could ruin my whole experience is that if a certain someone that is supposed to die doesn't die. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not excited to see these characters die. I'm actually kind of terrified of it because I feel like I'm liking these characters so much. But I really do think that death, loss, grieving, these are all very integral parts of Final Fantasy VII. And without that, I'm honestly, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna make a video and I'm gonna go off on Square Enix if you know who doesn't die. But I also know that that person that maybe is supposed to die doesn't die in this game because it's not the whole game. So that maybe will happen in the future, but I've also heard whisperings of maybe it won't happen and they're just gonna change it all up. So I'm actually very okay with the changes and adding stuff. I'm actually okay with it. I don't know why I am, but I just am. It feels fresh and new, and I'm just not gonna hold on to my memory of Final Fantasy VII as a kid. I have that game, I can go back to it. It is what it is. So I'm okay with them changing things up, but that's not something I'm okay with them changing up. Again, for those of you that are familiar with the channel, you know how I feel about Square Enix taking back the deaths of their characters. And another thing, we got a new bad guy. We got Mullet Sephiroth. Come on down. Dude, Final Fantasy VII's villains are super cool. They're very unique to say the least. They just have their own kind of weird style about them, and this guy was great. And now that leads us to the combat. I think universally people are really excited about this combat. This is actually why I initially was like, hey, this is the time to play the game. Final Fantasy XVI is coming out in a matter of weeks, and I've heard a lot of people actually in the comments of my videos say that they wish that the combat in Final Fantasy XVI was like the combat in Final Fantasy VII. They feel like Final Fantasy VII really nailed it for a hybrid between action combat and still a party management RPG system. So Final Fantasy VII, it's straight up action RPG, totally just hit the dudes with your sword or punch them with Tifa or shoot them with Barret. But then you can also pause time, kind of like a VAT system in Fallout, and you can go to the menu and you can cast your spells or your items or your limit breaks, your summons. I don't have too much to add here. It's great, you know, I agree. I think it's really, really good. Is it maybe what Final Fantasy XVI should be doing? I don't know about that because I feel like Final Fantasy VII is a franchise in itself. myself. There's going to be more Final Fantasy VII games, and they're using this combat system. So I'm totally okay with Final Fantasy 16 having its own combat system, but I haven't played it yet, so that's definitely something I'll be looking at and talking more about when I finally get my hands on Final Fantasy 16. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be making videos about that game when it comes out. So yeah, I'm going to continue playing this game. It's checking all the right boxes for me. It's giving me a nice nostalgia hit. The action combat is just the change of pace that I need after playing 300 hours of Final Fantasy 14. I'm loving this remixed soundtrack. If I had a record player, I would buy the record. I would buy, or do they have CD? What do they have these days? I need to get the soundtrack. Maybe I'll find a way to get the kids to put it on my iPod Shuffle. And the game is so cinematic, the combat and cutscenes remind me of Advent Children. It's so crazy how well this all can flow together, and you can just legitimately look really freaking cool while you're playing this game. It's like, it's just, and it feels great. It's just, man, dude, it's fun. It's just a good time, you know? What can I say, man? It's great. I kind of want to just play this on my Steam Deck in my room, but it's been really fun sharing the experience with you guys, so please go follow me on Twitch. I'd love to share some of my time with you there and talk about, you know, what do you think? Do you enjoy the game? I'd love to hear about it either on Twitch or in the comments. I guess a good question would be, do you think that it does the original justice, or is this an abomination for the Final Fantasy VII franchise? Let me know in the comments. All right, guys, that's it for today. I will be giving you a part 2 when I finish the game, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.